You know, Steve, I just had to pull over a second to give myself a break. There's no power steering on this thing. The clutch is pretty tight. I gotta give myself a break. I'm gonna enjoy my Diet Coke here and take a minute. Like, while we were driving, I was thinking a lot about that meme. You know, you were saying like type 1 diabetes is a science experiment or whatever it is. But it's so true that like, there's so many things that can go wrong. We're always kind of like, you know, toying with our dosing insulin and things like that. It's really Murphy's Law. If something's going to go wrong, it can go wrong. So when it comes to type 1 diabetes, what's your craziest story? Thing that happened to you, scary moment, whatever it was.
You know what, Jeremy, 51 years is a long time, and I got lots of crazy stories, but this one I can't seem to remember, or I should say I can't forget. I'm on the tarmac of an airport going somewhere. My blood sugar was dropping. I'm shaky, I'm sweaty. And I thought for sure the plane would take off and I'd be able to stand up and get my glucose tabs. Everything was in the upper compartment. So I finally rang the bell. Flight attendant came over and said, well, what do you want? We're about to take off. And I said, hey, I'm a diabetic. I need something sweet. Could you get me a Coke?
There's nothing worse than being like in a trapped environment when you're low, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're like, I can't get something, I need it. That is just everybody's worst nightmare. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I specifically asked for a Coke. And so it seemed like eternity. She finally comes back. She's going down the hallway. Everybody's looking at me because why do I need to call a flight attendant? We're on the tarmac. She hands me a glass of what looked like Coke. She goes, is diet okay?
Ugh.
And so I basically just stood up. I opened the overhang container, and then another flight attendant said, you know, all passengers must be rein in their seat. I just got my bag down, and I was just going straight for the glucose. I came this far from passing out.
And you're like, look, I'm just trying not to die here, you know?
And so, I mean, everyone has crazy stories, but that one I remember because I was not only about to pass out, but I was so embarrassed by the whole thing, too.
Yeah, isn't that the worst? Well, mine is... It's actually a low story too. So long story short, I was switching from a pump to basal insulin. And when I do that, sometimes I give myself a larger than usual dose of basal insulin to kind of jumpstart things, because when you make that switch, sometimes you need more basal. Anyway, so I was trying to take 50 units of a long-acting insulin. So I took my long-acting insulin, and then an hour or so after I took it, I went low. And I thought that's kind of weird, but I ate a whole bowl of cereal, and 30 minutes later, so my CGM alarm goes off, and I said, well, for sure I'm high now. I just ate this whole bowl of cereal, but no, I'm low again. So then I started just going to town. Oreos, pizza, you know, you eat the whole fridge, whatever, keep going low. Finally figure out that instead of taking 50 units of basal insulin, I took 50 units of rapid-acting insulin. And at this point, I'm freaking out because I've eaten everything inside. I can't eat anymore. I'm getting nauseous.
You usually take no more than 5 or 10.
Right. So that's just like a huge wallop for me. And I'm thinking, do I have to go to the emergency room, whatever? Thank God I had some glucagon, and I just took that. And even that just brought me up to like 180, 190 or something. And then I finally went to sleep. But God, that freaked me out.
Yeah. When's the last time you had to give yourself glucagon? That's probably the only time.
It's the only time. But thank God I had it. And, you know, that's not a whole talk we're doing, but make sure you have glucagon at home, because if, you know, I'm not perfect, I'm not diabetes Jesus, but if it happens to me, it can happen to anybody.
And even if you didn't go against medical advice and take that extra large loading dose of basal, 25 units would have been way too much anyway.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So, you know, everybody has their crazy type 1 diabetes story. We've asked all of you guys to send in your kind of clip of your type 1 diabetes kind of craziness, and we're gonna see some of those now. So let's roll those.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Hello, my name is Doug Halford. I live in Idaho Falls, Idaho. I've lived with type 1 diabetes for the past 65 years. Many winters ago, I was cross-country skiing. We skied into a yurt, set up camp, and that night I woke up sweating profusely, which was odd because the temperature was below zero, 20 below zero outside. I had set my insulin pump to have a temp basal of a tenth of what my normal basal was because of the exercise. And it turns out I set it to be 10 times what my normal basal was. So I had to eat lots of carbs, and fortunately we had those, and I was able to recover and ski back out the next day.
Hi, my name is Chris Scharf. I've been living with diabetes for 15 years, and I live in Carlsbad, California. My story is a very private story, so you gotta promise me that you're not going to tell anybody about this. So there I was the night before my colonoscopy, and I started taking the medicine that does bad things to you. And I realized, gosh, my numbers are a little low, and then the arrows started going down. And I started freaking out, but I also knew that I wasn't supposed to eat anything. And so my wife convinced me that it would be really wise to start just powering and eating sugar. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down or out in some cases. So in this case, I sat there, and fortunately the sugar finally started taking a hold. But then I realized as I was getting my colonoscopy, you know what? A glucagon shot would have been a really good solution. And this is 2 years old, so I think I need to fill this. Hope this helps, and don't tell anybody.
My type fun story is from a few years ago. My husband and I were going out to dinner and a movie for our anniversary. And I put on a nice dress. Before we left for the restaurant, I was just a little bit low. So I took like 10 carbs, went to the restaurant. I was familiar with the dinner I ordered, so I ordered that to avoid any surprises. And took my dose for that meal. We went to the movie. I started going up. My blood sugars were rising. So I was dosing as I was going, and I thought, well, maybe it's a weird day. And through the movie, I kept going up. And finally, about 20 minutes before the movie ended, I realized I didn't plug in my pump when I put on my dress. That was fun.
My name's Jonah. What's up? Hey, here's a funny T1D story. So I was hanging out downtown. I was with my wife. We were grabbing some brunch. We were just trying to have a nice time. I'm being subtle. I really don't like to pull out the pen, answer all sorts of questions. So I'm fumbling with it on my lap. And the waiter comes over real aggressively and says, "Hey, you can't vape in here." And I said, "Hey, this is not a vape pen. I'm sorry. It's insulin." And he looks super embarrassed. He turns bright red and he takes a step back and he says, "Hey, so I know that insulin's super volatile. Do you want me to go run to the kitchen and grab ice? Do you want to put it on ice? I don't really know. I'm super sorry. This is really awkward." And I was like, "Hey, man, don't worry about it. It's all good." But yeah, super awkward brunch. Not a good time. Definitely wasn't vaping.
I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like.
All right, so we can pretend that we actually watched all those videos while we were sitting here in the van, but of course we didn't. But we don't have to have seen these videos because I know what they're about. I mean, we can relate with, I'm sure, the stories that we're going to see. And I can't actually wait to watch them in real time about the stories of the highs and lows. And the point of all this is that, if you feel like you're alone, you're the only one that's dealing with these struggles with type 1 diabetes, you certainly are not. And hopefully these stories just empower you to let you know for sure we are all one. We are in this together.
That's right. We all live through these situations. We have the similar struggles and issues. And that's one of the reasons why I started Taking Control of Your Diabetes, to educate and motivate people with diabetes how to live a long and healthy life with diabetes and avoid complications over the long term.
Yeah. And that's so true. Thank God for Steve Edelman, am I right? And Taking Control of Your Diabetes. And, fast forward to today, that was 25 years ago, 26 or 27 now.
Yeah.
And now here we are in a van. God bless you. But you know what else? Like all this talking and driving, it's made me so hungry. I'm starving.
I'm starving too.
You know what? Let's go get some pizza.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, everybody, it's time for the pizza challenge. Okay, so if you've been following us at TCOYD for the last year or so, we've been doing a lot of these challenges. So we did alcohol, how to drink alcohol successfully. I think I won that one. We did exercise. We did our world famous donut challenge, eating 3 donuts and trying to stay in range. And today is all about pizza. And why pizza? 2 things. Everybody flipping loves pizza, 1. And 2, it's really hard to control your blood sugars when you eat it. So we're here, we are at Round Table Pizza, and we wanted to pick Round Table, or we picked Round Table because we wanted kind of a classic, available kind of everywhere American style pizza. We're just gonna get your classic pepperoni pizza.
Slices are very consistent, size is consistent.
Yeah.
And we want to make it a real challenge because I'm going to beat Jeremy this time.
Okay, we'll see about that. I take that personally.
Well,
you really
you
fired me up.
should.
You poked the bear on that one.
I mean,
All right, hey, so this is the rules, right? We got to each eat 3 pieces of pepperoni. I eat 3 pieces, you eat 3 pieces, and we're going to try to stay in range and see how we do. So, Steve, anything you want to say about
we have to eat it within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we can use any type of methods we want, correct? Right. Afrezza, regular insulin, exercise, no exercise. And if anybody goes above 180 or below 70, you're out.
Yeah.
And whoever goes across that point at first.
Right. And who's going to win?
Well,
it's going to be me, everybody. All right, so let's go get some pizza.
Okay, let's do it.
Go. All right, everybody, so we got our pizza. We're back here at the TCOYD office. It is finally time to eat. Thank God we haven't eaten all day. You know, it's time for lunch. I'm starving. I don't know about you.
I can eat this in 15, 20 minutes.
So, first of all, what do we have in front of us? So we got 2 medium pizzas, and we decided that we're both gonna eat 3 slices of pizza in 20 minutes. We'll talk about that a little bit. We kind of measured them too to make sure that they're roughly the same size. This is, all in the name of science. So there we go. I can't wait to eat these. We used to do this thing at TCOYD conferences where we get these panel type 1s together, and I'd always ask them, what's the food that messes you up more than anything? And almost universally, people would say pizza. And here's the thing. I love pizza. You love pizza. Everybody loves pizza. We want to be able to eat it. So how do we eat it and control our blood sugars? And I would say, Steve, that it's not just the carbs, it's the fat and the protein that really screws people up. And we're all taught from when we're first diagnosed that you bolus for your carbs, you count your carbs, you take your bolus. What's so hard, right? What could possibly go wrong? Well, guess what? Fat and protein also raise your blood sugar. And why is that? There's 2 things that happen when you eat more fat or more protein. 1, it actually makes you more resistant to insulin. There's been lots of studies when people just eat fat, they become more insulin resistant. What does that mean? You need to take more insulin to basically get the job done. So number 1, you're more insulin resistant. 2, it slows down the absorption of everything. So where you might be used to the carbs normally hitting you in 10, 20, 30 minutes, the pizza will delay all that so that you get this rise in your blood sugar 2-3 hours later. So basically, all that being said is that when you eat pizza, you're gonna need more insulin and it's gonna be affecting your blood sugar for hours.
I should just mention that a lot of pizza places now have cauliflower crust pizza.
Yeah.
And it's easier on your blood sugars, but it's not free either. But
yeah.
We just picked regular crust pizza.
So we want to show you how to eat it. And we talked about that. Should one of us eat cauliflower, the other one, no. We're like, no, let's just eat what we actually would want to eat and then teach you guys how to handle it. So we're going to display the calorie and nutrient information, but basically each slice, 190 calories. And we looked this up on the website. This is for a medium pizza because it's a different size slice if it's small.
The diameter,
or, whatever. So again, for a medium pizza, 190 calories, 29 grams of carbs, 10 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat. So when you multiply that by 3, you get 87 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein, 18 grams of fat. So a lot of fat and protein in here.
I mean, if you look at this is more carbohydrates than an English muffin, which is like 25. A bagel's 50. So, but you got the fat and protein. Now, I'm at a disadvantage in this competition. I should be in the Paralympics.
Here we go.
I should be in the Paralympics. I got gastroparesis. I got to deal with slowed gastric emptying too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Because he was griping when we did the donut challenge about I was cheating, like whatever. So here's the ground rules. We are going to eat these 3 slices of pizza, which we have agreed on are equivalent. where you have to eat them within 20 minutes, and you have to keep your blood sugar between 70 and 180. So you can do whatever you need to do to keep your blood sugar down, additional doses of insulin, Afrezza, run stairs, whatever. However, at any point you have to treat a low, drink juice, like whatever, you're out, and the other one is deemed the most intelligent, best looking person in the universe.
Now, we're eating it in 20 minutes, but how long do we have to stay in range for the competition?
So I think we're going to go about 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the loosey-goosey rule. So
No,
yeah.
pick a time.
Okay, we'll say 3 hours.
Okay.
And we're going to follow it. All right, so those are the ground rules. Hold on, because now we're going to talk about what we're actually going to do. So I am using a Control IQ tandem pump, so I'm going to try to do one of these extended boluses. I'm going to give myself some insulin now to cover the carbs, and then some over the next 2 hours. The pump, the Control IQ, only allows you to do like over 2 hours because of it's automatically modulating insulin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I haven't actually bolused yet. And I'm going to bolus probably when I start eating, or maybe when I'm actually eating. This is very different than what I would do if I was eating straight carbs. Again, because if I was eating just carbs, I would take my insulin 20, 30 minutes before I eat. But because all the fat and protein delays things, I'm going to take my insulin now to avoid an initial low.
Big mistake.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, no, I think I agree with you because your blood sugar is low now.
No, my blood sugar, that's a good point, is it's
not
121.
It's not low, but it's not super high.
What's your blood sugar?
It was 150 a second ago.
So here's what actually usually happens with pizza, is that people can bolus a lot. They might actually have an initial low because they're not matching up the insulin with the absorption, and then they rocket high like 2-3 hours later. So my tip number one is I'm going to bolus actually now. And then the other thing is people always say, well, how do I account for the fat and proteins? And there's a lot of different ways of doing this. Our good friend Howard Wolpert, who's in Boston, has actually studied this.
Yeah.
And he did a great study where he had people eat a pizza either with just the crust or with the cheese and pepperoni. So the same amount of carbs either way, but when you add the cheese and pepperoni, people needed way more insulin, anywhere from 30 to like 100% more. And they had to have delayed absorption.
The blood sugar just didn't come down.
It just was high for hours.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I have my calculation here. So this is 87 grams of carbs. I'm going to bolus for maybe 110, 115 or so. So I'm accounting for the fat and protein. So adding another 30% or so to my bolus. The other thing people will say is that for every 15 grams of fat or protein, 10 to 15 grams, you add another unit. So there's different ways of doing it. Guess what, though? It's very variable. So what works today...
Can I borrow your pad of paper and do these Poindexter calculations?
Whatever.
Look
I'm
at
going to
this.
beat you.
I mean, this looks like chemistry.
Okay.
Okay, listen, I'm going to do the wild-ass guess.
Yeah,
method.
here we go. Fly by your pants, Edelman.
10 minutes ago, I gave myself a bolus for 80 grams. And because my blood sugar at the time was 150, now it's 139, and he's delaying, so I get low. So I'm anxious to eat.
Okay. Well,
and so I basically gave myself bolus. Now let me just say one other thing.
Okay.
He's doing the extended bolus. I'm looping with my Omnipod, and what I decided to do is I have my upper limit alert set at 150. Not like a lot of folks, 180, 200. So I'm going to rely on that lower alert to let me know when I hit 180. And when I hit 180, it's very simple. What's the trend arrow doing? Straight like that, straight across, or going down? And that's going to dictate my next move. But I don't have a big thick pad of paper. My mechanical pencil broke years ago.
Okay,
as
so
an undergrad.
enough.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I just calculated, I put in my 110 grams. I'm getting 6.875 units now, and the 6.875 over the next 2 hours. My hope is that I don't have a next move, and we'll just see if I can nail it, and then it will be worth my little calculations here. So here we go. I'm going to bolus now to get you to shut up.
Okay, could I use some of these crushed peppers? Does that affect the results?
Well, as long as you don't complain about it. Like
If
this
I
is
put
going
on-
to affect you
They are
differently.
kind of stale.
All right, so we're going to eat now. Thank God. So
Okay.
cheers, bud.
cheers. Okay, the pizza challenge.
Oh God. Oh God. I'm waiting so long for this. And we're back. Okay, so we're about 20 minutes after eating. We both completed our task, finished our 3 slices of pizza, which was not difficult for me. I was starving. So blood sugar-wise, quick update on you. Again, 20, 25 minutes later.
Yep. Started off at 150. I took 8 units 10 minutes before we ate because I put in 80 grams of carbs. I'm 10 to 1. And with Jeremy's delaying, I looks like I am now 110 diagonal down. So now I'm just a little concerned because of my gastroparesis. I took 8 units, and it wasn't the biggest pieces of pizza I've ever had because it was a diameter of a medium round table pizza is 12 inches. I looked it up.
All right. Well, you should listen to my tip number 1, which is bolus when you eat, or even after you start eating because of the fat and protein. So, we'll see. Hopefully you don't go low.
I hear you. But I was 150.
Okay. All right. Now, my update is that the wheels completely fell off. So when I was bolusing and I did all my calculations, it pumped in like 2 units, and then my pump stopped and said I had an occlusion alarm. And isn't that just diabetes? That you can't make this stuff up. Oh my gosh, come on. I did all my calculations, what Steve was writing me about. I was so excited to finally maybe give you guys advice and do it and have everything go well. But then I got this occlusion alarm, and thankfully I have an additional infusion set. In this whole diabetes office, we have 1, and I found it. And of course, there's you probably can't see it, but there's blood in the catheter there. It's completely occluded. What's on this side?
That's ketchup.
Yeah, sure. So I had to change out my pump, and I put in a new infusion set. Now I'm dealing with, I don't quite know how much I additionally got. I think about 2 units. So I put in 80 grams of carbs and again split it out 50-50. But I'm also dealing with a new infusion set, which for me, every time I put in a new infusion set, I usually go high. So that's why I actually try to put in my infusion sets at night to give it time to kind of the absorption to kick in or whatever. So it's just a crapshoot for me at this point. We'll see how it goes. So far, I'm still 120, so doing well. At least not going low like this guy. But we'll see how it goes. All right?
Yeah, it's just Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
You could be out at a restaurant and you wouldn't even have access to an extra infusion line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had a whole bunch of extra supplies, tandem supplies that people donated, and then we just gave it to an organization that needed it.
Literally yesterday.
Yeah, literally yesterday.
To spite me for the pizza challenge. But this is, another thing. Make sure you have stuff with you. So I'm glad I have another one. But anyways, we'll check back in, see how it goes. Best of luck to you. May the best man win. And I'll see you soon.
Okay, good luck.
Okay. And we're back. All right, so we're 1 hour in now to the pizza challenge. And the update is my blood sugar started around 120. Like I said, all hell broke loose. I'm up to 144 now. So I think this is mostly that the pizza's just now starting to, 144 and flat.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of a slow creep up. So I think the pizza, an hour in right now, is really just starting to kick in. So I don't think this is so much that you or I did a great job with our bolus. I think really a lot of this is just the pizza. It takes a long time to absorb.
No, this is calculation.
Yeah,
right
my
here.
calculations
Well,
that
let me ask you this, though.
Right.
You're still getting insulin, right?
I'm still, getting
Remind
my, so I had about 5 or 6 units that would be delivered over a 2-hour period. So I have basically an elevated basal rate that's going on in my pump right now, which if this goes up much higher, if I hit 150 or so, I'm definitely going to take a bolus or do something about it.
Okay, yeah, my blood sugar is pretty close. It's 129 straight across. Now, what happened to me was about 30 minutes after my bolus, which was a few minutes after I finished eating, it was 113 diagonal down. And I thought, I'm going to have to get some sugar. So I just waited, and then sure enough, it was like 115 straight across, and now it's kind of creeping up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'll just wait for my upper alert to go off. Remember, I took 8 units when I was 150 straight across. The other thing is, I don't understand totally about the control IQ, but I'm on the Omnipod looping, and you cannot have a dual wave bolus. But I noticed that my basal rate is turned off. Yeah. And it predicts I'm going to get to 43 now. I won't get to 43. Yeah. Because I got the gastroparesis going. So it's So I would say this is the easy part of pizza, the first hour.
The next couple hours is going to really separate the men from the boys. So we'll see how we do. And we'll check back in with you guys in an hour, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. We'll see you soon. All right, we are back. So now we are at the 2-hour mark after eating our 3 slices of delicious pizza. Some updates. At an hour and 20 minutes in, both Steve and I had to do an intervention. I was at 166 and kind of climbing up. So I took 8 units of Afrezza, which is an inhaled kind of rapid-acting insulin. Get this, I went all the way up to 179, and Steve was ready to prematurely celebrate, and then it started coming back down. So I'm at 166 and kind of flat across right now. And, you know, I didn't want to have to do the Afrezza. It's still a crapshoot what's going on with me because I changed the pump and everything, but I'm happy I'm still in range. Steve.
Yeah, well, my plan worked as well. When I hit 150, which was my upper limit, I told you I lowered it on purpose. My little alert went off and I was 159 diagonal up. I took 4.5 units, wild ass guess, and now I am 153 straight across.
And I update, I'm 157 now, so very close. So we will be back for our final update here in a second. And we are back. Okay, so at the 3-hour mark, guess what? Both Steve and I were in range. We were right about 160. So guess what, Steve? We just took down the hardest thing in diabetes to conquer, pizza. We are the smartest, best looking, most intelligent, fastest, strongest endocrinologist alive, I think.
Yeah, that's undisputable.
Yeah, I think nobody has disputed that today.
No one in this room.
yeah.
We're the only ones here.
So, however, this is now actually 4 hours after we started, and both Steve and I went above 180. I went to 183. He went to 185 at the exact same moment. You know, so we said that we were going to call it within 3 hours. So I think we both beat won the pizza challenge. But then we both ended up going high about 4 hours later. So a couple things there. That the first 3 hours was not that bad. You know,
Was it?
Like my pump fell out and I occluded, and I like, you know, that was an issue.
That's not a big deal.
Not for you. But, you know, we kind of rolled with it. We had to do one extra touch. You know, I took Afrezza, you know, at like kind of an hour and a half, something like that.
I
and
took
you
a bolus, yeah.
And we stayed in range. So that wasn't too bad. But now at the 4 hour mark, we're going high. And it just makes me think that this is so typical, because what happens? You eat pizza for dinner, right? And you do anything, you go to bed, and then you get that high alarm at like, you know, 10, 11, 12, like whatever. And you're like, what? I haven't eaten anything in hours. And that's the pizza. It's still being absorbed.
Yeah.
You know, 4 hours later, we haven't eaten anything else. So clearly it's the pizza that's still affecting our blood sugar.
What do you know?
You're 193.
Straight across, at least.
I'm 183.
Yeah, because it's, you know, I still consider that a victory.
Oh, for sure.
And, you know, the other thing is, we were just talking that, you know, we had 3 slices of pizza and caloric-free beverage, diet soda. We had no salad. We had no garlic bread. We had no beer. So all that adds complexity.
Yeah.
Hey, where's your pad? We can calculate what we would need.
So, you know, the point here, again, is not that you should eat pizza every day, but let's learn some tips on how to do it. It can be done, and no matter what you do, I mean, Steve was making fun of me, but he's right. I made all these calculations, and guess what? None of it really mattered. I mean, first of all, my pump fell out. I had to kind of redo it. I still had to take Afrezza later. No matter what you do, you always have to be able to do the diabetes limbo, adjust, kind of see what's happening and adjust. And that's whether you're eating pizza or exercising or anything, that's really kind of the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is, you know, try to keep a good attitude that you still should do the things you like. Just use your CGM and your insulin to stay in range as best you can.
And don't let anybody tell you have diabetes, you shouldn't eat that.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, you should just do what everybody else should do to be healthy, and you do your best to control your blood sugar. So thanks for doing this. That was awesome. I'm actually satiated, which feels good, even though I really want to have another piece. But let's go back and get in our VW bus.
Yeah.
You know, work off some more calories, you know, trying to lug that thing around.
Where are we going?
I don't know, man. Let's just get in there and we'll take it.
Does that 64 bug have a GPS on it?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Well, thanks for tuning in for the pizza challenge. It's very clear that I was the winner. Take care, everybody.